Fundraising is really all about being able to tell your story persuasively to the right people. It's a really interesting, multi-dimensional chess game because number one, you have to know who the right people are. Mm-hmm. You really only have two kinds of people on your donor list. People who give you money and useless people.
Our social entrepreneurs are people who have been on the front lines of social change. I've learned so much from talking with them. This is Cafe Impact, and I'm Jonathan Lewis.
One of the things I always advise people is if you want to make it in the nonprofit sector, learn how to raise money. Here's a trick that I'll pass on. It's actually not the time seeing the project that is the difference because all the projects look good. Oh, nice kids going to school, isn't that lovely? It's the time in the van between the office and the project because that's the time you can really get into the conversation. Because there's not much else to talk about besides the fact that you're about to die on this road in some crazy country where people don't know how to drive. It just gives you a lot of time for questions and answers and discussion that allow you to drill down in a deep way.
When you're turned down by a funder or you lose a grant, is this personal business?
Yeah, you can't help but take it personally, but persistence over time matters a lot. One of my biggest fundraising tips is unless somebody just absolutely vehemently to your face screaming and yelling tells you no, they're really just saying not yet. It's just amazing how over time people will eventually find a way to fund you as long as you are, you don't come across like you're resenting it, you're not laying this guilt trip on them. It's just be yourself, be persuasive and say, look, we're just doing something here that's so good.
Is it a question of being persuasive or being a relentlessly good listener?
Listening? No, I don't listen to funders. Foundation people are more rigidly trained than almost any other group of people I know never to tell a potential grantee what's really going on. So I don't listen to anything they say. What I pay attention to is what they do. Who else they're funding, what grants they've made, what they're publishing, what conferences they attend. And a lot of your job is to figure out exactly what their framework for understanding the world is, and then how to describe what you do in that framework. Try to imagine different audiences. How do you explain this to your mother? How do you explain this to the head of the Ford Foundation? How do you explain it to a group of students? And it turns out there's endless numbers of ways that you can explain the same thing in a different way to a different audience. And so your job is to know who that audience is and what they want to hear. I just find that whole process to just be endlessly fascinating.